People keep saying there's a big pharma conspiracy. But here's the part no one bothers to ask. What's actually real? And what's just noise? Today we cut through the bullshit. No sugarcoating. Just money, power, medicine, and the uncomfortable truth sitting between them. Let's start with the structure. 5 to 10 corporations control most of the global pharmaceutical market. They're not evil comic book villains. They're something far more predictable. Profit-driven machines with no emotional brakes. Their executives don't wake up in the morning thinking about your personal health journey. They wake up thinking about quarterly earnings and shareholder value. And when a healthcare system is fundamentally dependent on profit, every decision eventually twists itself around money, not people. It's not about being a bad guy. It's about the rules of the game. The entire industry is designed to maximize financial returns. Imagine a giant, intricate machine. Its primary function isn't to make you healthy. Its primary function is to generate revenue. Your health is just the raw material that feeds the machine. This isn't a moral judgment. It's a structural analysis. When the survival of a company depends on selling more products, its goals will inevitably diverge from the public good. They have a legal and financial duty to their investors, first and foremost. This creates a powerful, systemic bias where the most profitable path is often not the healthiest one for society. So, the problem isn't necessarily malice. It's a system where the incentives are fundamentally misaligned with patient well-being. Now, where does all this distrust come from? Conspiracies don't just appear out of thin air. They grow from the seeds of real, verifiable screw-ups. Think about it. We've seen companies price gouge life-saving drugs, turning survival into a luxury good. We've seen documented cases of negative clinical trial data being hidden or downplayed to push a drug to market. We've witnessed aggressive lobbying efforts that bend legislation in their favor. And we lived through the opioid crisis, where the catastrophic risks of addiction were deliberately manipulated and minimized for profit. These aren't wild theories cooked up in an online forum. These are documented, public cases that have resulted in massive fines, lawsuits, and shattered public trust. So when people start whispering the word conspiracy, they're not just being paranoid. They are reacting to a very real and consistent pattern of behavior that the companies themselves have established over decades. The industry has, in many ways, built its own credibility crisis. The distrust is an earned consequence of prioritizing profits over people, one scandal at a time. The public isn't inventing the problem. They're just connecting these. This brings us to incentives, because incentives shape outcomes. It's a simple rule of economics. Now ask yourself this. When curing a disease completely earns a company a one-time payment, but treating that same disease long-term with a daily pill generates predictable revenue for decades, where do you think the investment money is going to flow? Companies pour billions and billions of dollars into developing drugs that manage chronic conditions: diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol. Why? Because it creates a reliable, annuity-like revenue stream, a customer for life. They're not doing this because they're sitting in a boardroom plotting your perpetual sickness. They're doing it because the system rewards endless treatment far more handsomely than it rewards permanent solutions. A cure is a terrible business model in a purely capitalist framework. That's not a conspiracy. That's capitalism running at full speed, without any brakes. The financial architecture of the industry naturally prioritizes management over eradication. It's the logical, profit-maximizing choice within the current rules of the game. So, how is information controlled? Modern medicine is built on data. But who generates and controls that data? For the most part, it's the very same companies that stand to profit from the drug being studied. Now, They're not usually just forging numbers. That kind of fraud is risky and can blow up in their faces. The real trick is much softer, much more subtle, and often perfectly legal. It's about selective publication of favorable results, while less impressive trials never see the light of day. It's about strategically framing data to highlight a minor benefit while downplaying significant side effects. We also see the rise of ghost-written studies, where academics lend their names to papers written by the company. And, of course, there's the practice of funding university research labs that already have a known bias, or lean in a direction that is favorable to the company's products. It's not a hidden plot. It's a sophisticated, polished public relations and marketing strategy. It shapes the medical narrative far more effectively than any secret meeting in a dark, smoke-filled room ever could. By controlling the information flow, you control the conversation. Then there's the government connection. People love to claim that governments and pharmaceutical companies are working together in some kind of grand global plot. But the reality is much more mundane, and in some ways, more troubling. The relationship is simpler. Regulators, like the FDA, rely heavily on the industry for expertise, for conducting the clinical trials, and for providing the very data they need to approve a drug. This creates a powerful dependency. Over time, that dependency creates influence. It's not necessarily a bribe in a briefcase. It's a revolving door where regulators leave their government jobs for high-paying positions in the industry they once regulated. It's the constant lobbying pressure. This isn't a conspiracy. It's a slow, systemic creep. It's a situation where the supposed watchdog ends up sleeping in the same bed as the wolf. It's meant to be watching. The lines blur, the oversight weakens, and the industry's interests slowly but surely become intertwined with regulatory decisions. Now, let's be blunt. While there are real, systemic problems, there are also ideas floating around online that are pure, unadulterated nonsense. The idea of secret population control agents being added to medicines. The claim that miracle cures for major diseases are being actively hidden in a vault somewhere. The theory that diseases themselves are invented in a lab just to sell drugs. None of this holds up to any serious scrutiny. These ideas don't spread because they're true. They spread because people feel powerless and frustrated. Complex problems like healthcare economics are confusing and overwhelming. It's much easier and more emotionally satisfying to blame a single, cartoonish villain than it is to grapple with a flawed, complicated system. These narratives offer a simple answer to a complex fear, and in an age of uncertainty, simplicity is a very attractive product. So what is the real problem they don't want you to talk about? The most dangerous issue isn't a secret plan hatched by a few evil people. It's the fact that the entire system is openly and transparently built in a way where profits almost always win, even when public health loses. There's no conspiracy needed when the financial incentives already push everything and everyone in the same direction. That's why drug prices continue to skyrocket for no reason other than because we can. That's why research priorities are skewed toward profitable long-term treatments instead of risky, less profitable cures. And that is why public trust has completely collapsed. The system is designed for this outcome. So here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not living inside a grand, secret pharmaceutical conspiracy. You're living inside a giant, highly efficient economic engine where health is treated as a commodity. Your body is a potential market, and your sickness is a recurring revenue stream. The real danger isn't hidden in the shadows. It's written down in black and white on corporate balance sheets and shareholder reports, sitting right there in plain sight for everyone to see. And the only way anything ever changes is when we, the public, stop chasing the fairy tales of secret plots and start attacking the real structural problem. a system where money, not well-being, is the ultimate arbiter of who gets to live a healthy life. Thanks for watching. If this made you think, hit that subscribe button and share this video. Let's start a real conversation.